we heard Taylor mention that Ja will be able to practice and travel with the team. How much of a relief is that for you guys, knowing that you'll get to have him be around and integrate him back when the season gets started again?
Yeah, I think it's great for John. I think it's great for the group that he can be with us day to day. As you alluded to, the NBA has basically said that as long as Ja continues to stay on track, he's going to be cleared to participate in all team, private team activities. So practices, shoot arounds, traveling with the team. He's going to be with us. Obviously, preseason games and games, the first 25. Won't see him out there, but we can't wait to have him back game 26.
Hey Zach, how you doing? Can you give us an injury update on Dez, BC, and Steven?
Yeah, so glad to go through the group there. Dez, maniacal, working on his body through the offseason, full go. Dez is in a really good spot. Can't wait to have him back out there. I think Dez is ready to take yet another leap. Dez continues to surprise people for some reason year over year, but he keeps putting in the work. I think he's in a really good spot. Steven, also in a good spot. Steven's cleared for live play here in camp. We will be conservative ramping him up. Anytime you have a case where he just, literally hasn't, played, and we're going to be cautious and make sure we're taking it one step at a time. But Steven's cleared and in a good place. Brandon, obviously, he's, the one guy other than Ja who's just not expected to be available at the beginning of the season, making, significant headway in his recovery. He did, for the sake of transparency, he had a cleanup on that in the middle of the offseason. That was elective. It wasn't something that he had to do, but it was something that getting, all the medical experts at the table, they said, let's go in, we can reinforce, tighten. Everyone felt like that'll allow Brandon to have the best long-term outcome. That doesn't necessarily change the timeline for Brandon, but, as we would be for any long-term injury, we're going to be cautious with that regardless. If Brandon is able to get back at some point this season, obviously that's great, but we're not going to rush it. He's in a good place though. I think certainly, by the following season, Brandon is, medically expected, basketball expected to be, himself and hopefully even better, but he's in a good place too.
Zach back here. Going back to Ja for a moment, you mentioned staying on track. What exactly has the NBA told you about what constitutes staying on track?
Yeah, I mean, the dialogue has really been as long as Ja continues to stay on track. He'll be allowed to continue participating with us. Ja's been here around the team environment in Memphis, which has been great. He's been putting in, great work, and I think taking a lot of steps in the right direction and in a healthy, positive direction. I would just kind of leave it at that. I mean, it continues to. I think it sometimes it's you know it when you see it. If he keeps taking steps in the right direction, we all kind of know what that means.
With Ja, obviously, his choices on how to spend his free time on the road have been problematic and have helped get him to this point. Are there any extra measures being taken, any extra precautions in place to prevent those issues from coming up when he's traveling but not playing?
Yeah, I think Ja, everything else I'm going to keep internal, what the approach is going to be. I would, again, just say I think he's taking meaningful, positive, healthy steps in the right direction. We're going to continue to, give him the structure, to be able to follow through on that, and we can't wait to have him back.
Zach, to follow up that kind of structure, how key was the addition of Marcus Smart and Derrick Rose to maybe help bringing in some experienced veterans who are strong leaders to maybe help provide extra internal structure in the locker room?
Yeah, I mean, I think on the whole, coming out of last season, we took a step back and we said, I think it's important to react to what we have, not to overreact, but we felt like we, as a whole, our locker room could benefit from some guys who have really competed at the highest levels of the NBA. And we had a very short list of individuals that we thought could be meaningful contributors to our group on the court and off the court. Marcus and Derrick were both on that list. Marcus is not necessarily someone that we thought was going to be available. And, if anything, the fact that the first trade involving Porzingis that Boston tried to do didn't happen, I think showed that they wasn't the first guy they were, kind of looking to move. So we didn't think we necessarily could get Marcus, but those are two guys that the way they carry themselves, what they've learned, I think, over the course of their careers, they're going to bring a lot to this locker room. So we're excited to have them in the fold.
As far as on the court, is concerned, what are your expectations for the team as far as competing like for a championship?
Yeah, they're high. They're high. I'd like to think that we have the right mix of guys on the court and off the court. I think we hold ourselves to a high standard, and we challenge ourselves to set aspirational, lofty goals. Like every year that I've sat up here since we've gotten into kind of beyond a developmental phase, I mean, there's one goal, and that goal is to win the championship. That hasn't changed. We haven't wavered on that. We feel really good about the group that we have. I think the way that we've built the team, we can continue to be intentional about ways that are going to give us every opportunity to pursue that. But we feel really good about this group that we have going into the season.
To piggyback on Tim's question from earlier, when the NBA put out its statement about Ja's 25-game suspension, they used the word public team activities. I think a lot of people took from that he might be able to practice with the team. Traveling with the team is sort of a step beyond that. I think was not as widely expected. Is that something the team explicitly asked the league to allow?
Yeah, I'm going to keep, just kind of between us and the league, the dialogue of how we got to this point. But, we're certainly supportive, and I think it's in the best interest of everyone, going forward, that Ja can be in the team environment, working with us day to day. And, like I said, we can't wait to get him back and out there with us.
Hey, Zach, back here in the back. Tavares Haywood, Action News 5. Has an agreement been made, to the best of your knowledge, about who gets what as it relates to funding from the city of Memphis to renovate the Forum?
Yeah, as it pertains to, everything related to the negotiation with the city, that's very much, Wex's purview. I think he's doing a great job, navigating that. I don't think it, and, even needs to be said, but, I love the city of Memphis. This is home for me. This is a place that we're absolutely thrilled to be and beyond, proud to represent every day. So, other than, making that point, would probably a better question for Jason.
Zach, as you look at the way the league set up the rest period, and then you've got people like Adams and Bane who are still coming off a little bit of injury, how are y'all navigating that for this year, and what do you see as far as what the league has dictated in that regard?
Yeah, I wouldn't go into any, we're just at the eve of training camp here, about to kick things off. We'll see exactly where guys are as the season gets going. There's nothing about the rest policy that would cause guys who have actual injuries, to be able to miss time. And, but like I said, we'll be smart about ramping guys up, as we always are. But guys are in a good spot. We're excited to have a largely, healthy group. Obviously, Brandon, the one who's, going to be out for a while. But, yeah, we're just excited to dive in with this group, and we'll take it as it comes, navigating the day-to-day.
Zach, when you're talking about Ja being able to travel with the team and how that, is good for the team, will he be able to sit courtside during games, or is that something that he'll be away, obviously because of the suspension can't play, but is he allowed to sit courtside and things like that during games, or no?
Yeah, my understanding is that in the case of any suspension, and that would apply here as well, that a player who is suspended, by league rules is not allowed to be in the arena within a few hours before the game. So I believe that would apply in this case.
Zach, just in terms of, the conversations you've had with Ja up to this point and everything, where's your confidence level in the fact that all those, things that have happened in the past are now, things of the past?
Yeah, I'm intentionally just going to say, there's steps that, I think Ja is continuing to take that are really positive and in the right direction. It's great to have him here. I think he's, put himself in a position where there's no reason why he can't, keep following through on this. So we're glad he's here, and we can't wait to have him back.
One injury we haven't discussed is Zaire. Can you walk us through the decision to not use him in Summer League and what the expectations will be for him as he, enters the season?
Yeah, so fair question. Zaire, though, not injured, to be clear. So Zaire played in our last game of last season, played really well in our last game of last season, was not hurt when the offseason started, not hurt now. We decided, we put our heads together going into the offseason. There was a plan presented of really strengthening, his lower body. He's done some great work to put himself in a position to lower the likelihood, of injuries happening in the future. But we decided that this would be a very body-focused, summer for Zaire. And I think he's had a great summer. Really excited for him to hit the ground running. But Zaire has not been hurt, just to clarify on that. I could get why there might be a question, but he was in a great place, has had a really productive summer working on his body, and can't wait for him to dive in here. Yeah, so he's had knee tendonitis in the past, and part of the point of this strengthening program was to put him in a position where hopefully that doesn't pop up again. But that was an issue that happened, kind of at the beginning of last year, was not bothering him. That wasn't an active issue, at the end of last year. But yeah, it had popped up a couple times over the course of last season, and we wanted to put him, in a position going into this offseason where the likelihood, of that being an issue was as low as it could be. And I think he's in a really good place. Physically, I do.
In terms of signing Derrick Rose, how much of it was off the court impact? How much on the court impact? What are your expectations from Derrick?
Yeah, I think it's both. I mean, we did, again, we did a lot of homework about, really focusing on what would be the right guys to really help us elevate our approach. And part of that is definitely in the locker room. But, and looking back, Derrick had a really good season for the Knicks a couple of years ago. The Knicks decided to go in a younger direction, of who they were prioritizing on court for much of last season. We're really excited to have Derrick out there. I think he has an opportunity, with Ja out, at the beginning of the season to help us on the court as well. And, we're talking about a former MVP in this league, someone who's made it, very, very far, multiple times in the playoffs. I think there's, again, certainly we're excited about what he's bringing on the whole as we think about, our mix of guys and team chemistry, but I think he's going to help us on the court too. Thanks, everyone.